Okay. Ellie, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great. Thanks, Mickey. Hi, everyone. I'm Kelly. I'm a Senior Business Support Officer here at SEDS Finance. And we're going to talk a little bit today about how to cure a delinquent LLC status and how to formalize an existing business through LLC registration, such as a sole proprietorship. And it's going to be a lot of information. I'm going to try to not talk too fast, but please do put comments or questions in the chat, and Mickey can feel free to interrupt me if I need to clarify something. That's not a problem at all. So sometimes I get asked, why do I need to keep my LLC in good standing? It's an annual process. So if you do have an LLC, it is required for loans and grants and other kinds of government programs. And after 401 days of delinquency on the Secretary of State's website, an entity's name can become available for others to use, like such as a competitor, and folks can actually lose the right to use their business name that they've, had all their marketing materials done. And so it is something pretty important to keep in mind. And 400 days seems like a long time, but actually it's just slightly over 13 months. So it comes pretty fast. And it saves money. Filing an annual periodic report is $10. And curing an LLC after it's gone into a delinquent status is a $100 fee. And we're going to go to the Secretary of State's website in just a minute and see kind of more about what that looks like.
Can I just make one quick, while Kelly keeps referring to LLCs, this is pretty much applicable to, it's not applicable just to LLCs. It's also applicable to sole proprietors, and I believe S corps also. So I think that's true pretty much for everything here.
So sometimes it can be hard to remember, like, when do I need to file my periodic report with the state? And they do offer a free service where you can sign up for email notifications and text notifications. And the state can send you a little push the month before your anniversary month and during your anniversary month. Your anniversary month is the month that you incorporated the LLC to begin with. And you can easily subscribe to that through the state's website. We're going to look at that in just a minute. There's some important links. Just so we have it on the screen here, we do have the Secretary of State. There are a couple of entities, the City of Aurora is one, and the City and County of Denver, that require businesses to be registered with those entities, in addition to the Secretary of State, to do business in those areas. And I would encourage people to check with their local jurisdiction if they're outside of Denver and Aurora. And something new that has come from the Treasury Department, just this past January, I think, they are requiring business owners to file beneficial owner information with them. And there's a link there. That's beyond the scope of today's webinar. I think it's a fairly simple process in itself. But I do want to try to make people aware of that whenever I get the chance. So I'm going to.
Yes, just quickly on that. Yeah. Not this year, but by next year, if you do not do that, it'll be subject to a pretty hefty fine. So that's why Kelly is so wanting to make sure you know about it.
So I would like to go through a sample case of curing a delinquent LLC registration. So we're going to go over, I'm going to switch screens here. So is everybody seeing my search browser?
Yes.
So I'm going to type in Colorado Secretary of State in the search window, not the address window, the search window. And we're just going to click on the link, make sure that I'm on cos.state.co. So we're going to go to business, and you're going to type in the name of your business in this field here. So for illustration purposes, I'm going to just put no name. So all filings on the Secretary of State's website are public information. So I'm not divulging anyone's confidentiality here, but you would put the name of your company here, and we're going to go to the bottom and hit search. So a number of entities come up: trademark registration, trade name, which is different from an LLC registration. An LLC registration separates the person from the business and its ownership. Registering a trade name does not separate the person from the business, and affords some of those protections that an LLC registration does. So very, very different. But we'll see that this one is delinquent back from 2005. It's an old account. Their anniversary month, like we talked about a minute ago, is May. So I'm going to find the link to the actual file under the column ID number. So your summary information would populate with the name of your business, your address. You'll go down, you'll find, if you scroll down, you'll find links. And we're going to hit the file. So here the name of your company would come up. Here's your ID number. And these are the links specific to this entity and its status. So the links that you're given by the state will be different depending upon the capabilities that you need to rectify whatever's on your record, if anything. So in the middle of all these links highlighted in blue says statement curing delinquency. I do want to point out directly above that is a link to dissolve a delinquent entity, and below is to convert it to another kind of entity. And a lot of people do business, I know, on their phone, and it's easy to choose the wrong one. And it's hard to know, if impossible, that you're actually on the wrong link until you populate through to the payment screen. So we want to be very sure that we're clicking the right link there. So you'll see that it is $100 fee. The registered agent's name and address will populate, so you'll just want to verify that this is you. We're going to cure this delinquent LLC, so we want this to take effect immediately. And here also you can sign up for email notifications. Click this button here and type your email in there. For illustration purposes only, I'm going to hit no so that we can continue. So this is actually everything you file on the Secretary of State's website are legal documents. So this field is where you attest to the fact that you're knowingly providing everything as accurately to the best of your knowledge. And you would have to actively fill in your or your registered agent's name and address here and hit submit. Since this is a live client with the Secretary of State, I'm not going to hit submit. But it'll just take you to a simple payment screen where you would just enter your name and credit card information, and it'll pop you up a receipt right away. And your LLC should be in effect, in good standing immediately. I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. Do we want to pause for any questions? That was a lot of information. You're muted.
I didn't see any in the chat, but if anybody
Okay.
wants to speak up, does anybody have any questions?
Amazing.
Okay.
So I want to continue on with registering a new LLC, especially for the purposes of this grant. If someone has been operating as a sole proprietorship, and they want to turn in those tax documents, if they do want to register, they're an existing business. There's a couple of points to remember. The reason we register an LLC is for the protections, limited liability protections that it could afford us, which means it's a separation between our personal assets, like my home and my car, and my business assets, like my inventory and so forth, right? So that's one layer of protection. In order for that protection in order for us to ensure that we're keeping that in place, there's a couple of important points that have to be pointed out. One is an operating agreement. So LLCs can be a single member, which means one person is 100% ownership and they make all decisions. An LLC can also be a multiple member LLC, in which case jointly, two or more people would have ownership and make joint decisions. So the operating agreement talks about how the operations of the business will be made, especially if it's a multiple member LLC, should one of the members decide to step away for the business for whatever reason. Even with a single member LLC, to have it documented what your operations and procedures are is a layer of protection should something happen to you, so that you can be assured and the state can be assured that your wishes are being taken care of should something unfortunate happen. Otherwise, some states have default LLC rules and the state will say your assets need to be divided in such a way because there was no operating agreement. It does not need to be filed with the Secretary of State, but it's an important document to have. And you can get a template from the Denver Public Library. Even if you don't live in the city and county of Denver, you can get a virtual library card. You would go to Denver Public Library website, you would find the research tab, and you would search for legal forms under GALE, G-A-L-E, and you can find a simple template. It might be something to explore if that's applicable to you. Another point to help ensure the protections of a limited liability company are stay in effect are your finances. So when someone incorporates an LLC, they're separating themselves from their business in a sense. And a separation of finance is another component of that. Some people might commingle their funds for convenience or a number of reasons, but having that clear path for someone to see these are business expenses that you've tracked and these are my personal expenses that I pay for my personal expenses through what we call an owner's draw, like a salarying yourself from the company. Figure out how much you need to survive every month and you take that kind of as a salary, if you will, just like if you went to work for someone other than yourself. Okay. I want to share my screen again.
So before, when you share your screen, there was a couple questions that came up about the last one. So if we could quickly go share the browser back at the Secretary of State. There were a couple questions that I'm hoping we can show there.
Okay.
So can you go to just the page right before this where you pulled up the name of the business? Okay. So a couple quick questions to show we did have one person quickly. I'm going to see if I can annotate this. I'm going to just, no, wait, sorry. Let me see if yes, I wanted to point out too. So yes, just one more time, making sure this is the link that you'll put, statement curing delinquency, if your business is not in good standing. That's the link you go to. But someone else asked where to get or a picture of the good standing certificate. We are not asking for this for the grant, but it is asked often. Often people, you have to submit a certificate of good standing as a document that you have. Can you show?
Continue to go.
I'm sorry. Somebody came off. I think maybe that was just an accident, but I do see another question. Yeah.
So if I went back one screen to this summary page, your summary page might look different. And there is a button to get certified copies of, it doesn't work on my browser, but you can get a certified copy. If you're in good standing, it would give me that option. We're not in good standing, so I don't have that option, but they're pretty easy to get.
Yeah, it literally says, yeah, if this one was in good standing, it would literally say get a certificate of good standing, and it's just a free thing that you just click
Yeah.
And then it'll print, you can then save it as a PDF. So again, not something we are asking, but something that is often requested, and that's how you would do it. Let me also answer this question. This is about the grant, not about this, but it is related. We have a trade name and are not licensed, and we have a trade name and license, but not an LLC or S Corp. Will we still qualify for this grant? Register an LLC, and then yes, register a sole proprietor, but you will not be eligible if you do not register. So if you would like to be eligible for the grant, you should be able to do that. But it didn't have to be registered in the past. Yeah, someone is asking, can they see what a account in good standing looks like? Kelly, can we search for an account in good standing? You can search for any. Somebody have a business that they know is in good standing? We can go back to the search. I'm fairly certain this is a Rubicon.
Okay.
This is a company I work with. I think they'll be okay.
Rubicon, just like that?
Just try that. It is longer, but so this is what you can see actually. Sometimes K Home Care Agency is one that somebody gave us too.
Okay.
So you can see it comes up with a lot, right? So sometimes you have to try.
So this one is in good standing.
Yeah. So let's look at one of those, any one of those.
This one's in good standing. So we'll look at this. It just says good standing.
And then if you go down, you can see get a certificate of good standing.
Yeah.
Right there. And that you can do that for yourself. When anybody requests that from you, after you're in good standing, you just click it and it will have the date on it because it's only good for a certain period of time.
Yeah. And also from the summary screen, you can subscribe to email and text notification. Those two things, like I said, they're free. The state will notify you annually before your periodic report is due. There's a number of places that it's populated around on their website. Okay. All right. So let's move on. I do want to show you what it might look like to register an LLC. It's very simple. This will just be a test case. So we're going to go back to the Colorado Secretary of State's website. I'm going to click the next button down, which is Start a New Business. I'm going to incorporate an LLC. I do have to have a debit or credit card accessible in the moment and an idea of what I'm going to name the company. I do want to point, it'll be a $50 fee too. So I do want to point out this, I'm going to show you real quick. The state has put together a pretty concise checklist that you can read through before you sit down to incorporate an LLC. It takes all the things into consideration that you might have answers to or think about before you register.
Kelly, can I ask one quick question before I give the wrong answer on this?
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot. Somebody said I'm seeing a lot of effective. This is back on the other. What would that mean? That means it applies to like a trade name or a DBA, not an actual business registration, right?
Yes. It'll tell you that what it was incorporated as.
But if it said instead of in good standing or delinquent, it says effective, that's just not a bit, that's like a trade name. That applies to a
Right. And trade
name or
names do
something like that.
expire, but yes, that's.
Yeah. So that's why you're seeing effective. It's just not it's not a full business name. It's something that is separate that you can register above and beyond.
So from this screen, I showed you the checklist. It's pretty handy. I'm going to go ahead and click the next button. So when you incorporate an LLC, we have to include some version of limited liability company after our name. We can spell out all 3 words. We can abbreviate one of the 3 words, or just go with the simple LLC. When I write the name of my company legally, as in like bank documents and stuff like that. So I also want to point out at the bottom, there is this list of acceptable characters. So you're going to see in a minute the my fictitious business that we're about to register does have an apostrophe. An apostrophe is an acceptable character. Sometimes people choose characters in their names that are not necessarily on this list, and they'll receive an error message. So it's just something to kind of keep in mind. So I have to enter my name. Again, this is just fictitious. And I apologize, I couldn't do this ahead of time. So I'm going to see if this name is available, and I'm going to click the next button. It is. So I'm going to enter my address. You would enter yours. You can enter home ad. You can enter a home address or a business address. I would choose an address that you're fairly certain is going to be with you for a while. You can enter a different address for your mailing, or you can use the same. For efficiency, I'm going to click the same. So you'll see here the addresses look exactly the same. The post office has this version on file. So I'm going to click the post office version, even though they're the same, just to alleviate any potential confusion in the future. I'm going to go ahead and use this address and click next. So a registered agent is the person that's filing the legal documents or has taken on the responsibility and the role of communicating with the state about, in this case, my business. I am an individual. I would like to choose the same address again. Same address again. And affirm that I have agreed to take this role in the company. Yes. And I'm going to click next. So as we talked about earlier, an LLC has to have at least one member that would own 100% of the company. It can have multiple members too, and they can be managed by people. For illustration purposes, our LLC does have one or more members, and at least one person, me, has agreed to take legal responsibility here. So I'm going to click next. Person forming the LLC is an individual. I'm going to choose the post office address again, and I'm going to click next. So this screen gives me the opportunity to review the information that I've entered and make sure that I didn't transpose any numbers, misspell my name or the street name. I can edit, I can delete, I can add other people also at this point. This looks okay for our purposes, and I'm going to click next. This screen is for attachments. Sometimes a business owner might want to register a trademark. So attachments are uncommon according to the Secretary of State themselves. And there's a lot of rules around the formatting and so forth, but you can upload attachments. But like I said, they're not common. The Secretary of State says themselves that they're not uncommon. So we're going to go ahead and click no. And next, we do want this filing to take effect immediately. This is a legal document. I have to actively affirm that I understand that everything I have entered is true and correct to the best of my knowledge. For time's sake, I'm going to click the same person filing as forming this LLC. Again, it gives me another opportunity to verify that my name and my street address and everything is as I want it to be, and I can edit or delete or add another filer at this time, and I'm going to click next. This screen is yet another opportunity to sign up for email notifications. I would hit yes, I would enter my email a couple of times. For our purposes today, I'm going to click no, and you can receive text notifications also. It's totally free. You just click yes, type your phone number a couple of times. For our purposes today, I'm going to click no. And I can review my filing in a new PDF window, but all the information is summarized here for me on this screen. Here's the name of my company with its legal designation. My principal office address looks correct. I don't want to change it. The registered agent and all this information is as I want it to be. So there's multiple opportunities to make doubly sure all the information. If you do misspell a name and you don't catch it, that your business will be incorporated with that misspelled word, or maybe there's not a space in between the words as you had hoped for. So it is important to take a minute and make sure that the information does read exactly as you want it to be. And this does, so I'm going to click next. All right. And here's our simple payment screen. The name of my company, the fact that I'm filing articles of organization, it's $50. I have to have a check or debit card. I would enter my name, my billing address, hit pay now, and a simple receipt screen would pop up. It's pretty simple. I do want to point out up here in the top right corner, there is a translation button. I think I forgot to mention that earlier on the secretary. It's only for Spanish, unfortunately, but it will translate all the pages into Spanish. And I'm just going to go back. That's my presentation. We do have the grant information. We have a support telephone number. It's actively answered this week and next week while the grant period is going on between the hours of 8:30 in the morning and 5 o'clock in the evening. Here's a dedicated grant email. It is actively monitored, and you can receive a response within 1 business day, and a lot of information about the grant and FAQs and lots of valuable information is already on our website. We do have a Q&A that we update every couple of days when we get questions that we didn't think about ahead of time. So kind of keep watching that, and that's it.
Great. Let me just answer a couple more questions quickly, since we are, somebody just asked, this is showing how to register an LLC, correct? Yes. Just to know though, if you are a single member LLC is very similar to a sole proprietor. In fact, there's really not much reason to not register as an LLC. I don't know of any reason to not register as an LLC and instead register as a sole proprietor. So even if you've been treating yourself as a sole proprietor, you can still register as an LLC, a single member LLC, and you'll still file your taxes the same. It will, from your standpoint, it won't make any difference at all. Another couple questions that came up quickly around the grant. So you can register. We do not require that you are registered prior to December 31st for this grant. However,
I could show them, Mickey, what the other options might look like. If that...
Oh yeah, great. That would be great. Let me finish this question, but yes, if you want to go there, that'd be great. So you do not need, you can register now. However, However, you do need to have shown expenses, not necessarily revenue, but at least have expenses on your 2023 tax returns. So filed a Schedule C for last year with expenses on your tax return. So you did not need to have revenue, but you do need to we need to be able to verify your business ownership on your tax returns. Now, one final question on that. If you have not registered and your business you filed a Schedule C, if you've left the area for the business name blank, go ahead and file as whatever you'd like. And we will be able to verify your ownership as long as you're the registered agent. If you did include a business name on your tax returns, even though you were not registered with the Colorado state, make sure your new registration matches that name. We will be looking for that. One final thing, and then I will turn it back on the supports that we have. Call our general business grant line. They may or may not, they should be able to help you with these questions, but we actually do have time on Wednesday afternoon where we are specifically have office hours, and might be a good time to call, and we can connect you with somebody who can help you if they're available. So this Wednesday afternoon, we're specifically trying to help on focusing on this process. We also have a couple other appointments you could set up. So if you call or email, we can send you the link to set up an appointment on this. And I got a question that we're going to be, yes, we will be doing a link. You mean the link to the presentation or the link to the Secretary of State? I'm not quite sure, but we'll try to put that in. We'll try to put that in the email, the link to the Secretary of State also. Okay, Kelly, why don't you go?
Oh, sure. I just wanted to show real quickly from this screen. Earlier, we chose to incorporate an LLC. This is where you would register a trade name. This would be maybe an S Corp, like Mickey mentioned earlier. A nonprofit, you can reserve a name for later, or you can incorporate a partnership of. So it's all on the same screen. You can register a trademark here. You convert an entity from one time to another. So everything is on that screen right there.
I think I just answered a couple. Let me see. I do see you have to be up to date with your taxes for 2023. No, you can use 2022 taxes as long as they show the business. But you do we need to be able to see the business ownership, and that needs to match your business registration. It does say, I also see somebody, I'm a foreign entity in Colorado. Can I still apply? No, your primary business operations need to be in Colorado, and you do need to be registered. We can handle, if you think that there's a strange case, why don't you email our grants email, and we can get back to you after we look into your case. You can please explain that a little further. But it is a requirement that the primary business operations be in Colorado. This is funded by the Colorado state, state of Colorado, whatever. Any other questions? If you have, it looks like there might be a couple individual questions. I really recommend I'll make sure the people managing the email now can send you a link. Send an email to our grants at SEDS Finance, and we can send you a link to the times where we're supporting individuals on this. One final person, sorry, this is not applied for an LLC in 2023, but it was not on your taxes and you haven't actually started. Yeah, unfortunately, that does mean you are not eligible for this grant. Yeah, so if you have not had any revenue or expenses yet, even though you have an LLC, unfortunately, and so unfortunately, you can't apply for this. We are trying to cover startups, but they do have to be startups within a few months that have actually been having expenses. I'm sorry about that. Any final questions? Excellent. Well, thank you very much. You should get a follow up email within the next 24 hours with everything. Thank you very much. Take care.